Hello, everyone. I am supposed to be working, but I'm trying to stay awake, and it's been difficult. I have like zero focus right now on, well, kind of on anything. I guess it's just the energy that we're in. It's been so hard for me to focus and get things done, and I just feel really just scattered and lethargic and just not that great. But a lot of these planets are supposed to go direct this month, so maybe that will help me feel like I have um, sanity or something again, or purpose in life. But that's actually what my video is about purpose. Um, I just wanted to share this um, real quick before I get into it. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe and like the video and comment and all that stuff. Thank you. So this past year, 2020, if you don't know, I got quite sick and I moved back home. And it's not just me home like with my mom, but also my sister and her son, my nephew. And I always kind of beef a little bit with my sister, like not beef, but just like expecting, like having, expectations of her that she always doesn't quite meet. And I think I have high expectations of myself and others, just in general. And sometimes it can be a little overwhelming. But this year, as I was here, I finally told her, like, stop talking to me about your problems and go to therapy. Like, I'm sick of hearing it. And and she got really offended, but she actually went to therapy. And ever since she's been gone to therapy, number one, like within just a couple of months, she was able to confront what I would say the root of her demons, particular things that happened to her during her childhood, that affected the rest of her life, that affects her behavior, that affects, how she feels about herself and the world around her. And there's just been just a massive change within her, a massive change in her drive and her goals and all of that. And even though this year like hasn't been perfect, like a few things got ruined for her, but she's still like focused and rerouting, which is something she doesn't do. Like she's just been leeching off of me a lot as an adult, and it gets very energetically heavy. So um, what I wanted to share is that the other day she asked me, what's your favorite memory about me or us when we were younger? Non-negative memory. Because she's been essentially doing shadow work with her therapist and pulling out a lot of old memories, a lot of repressed memories that she had. And I told her my favorite one was this particular time when we were kids. This is our like first time going into a daycare, and this is a little bit embarrassing. I think it was so I didn't understand that it was embarrassing for me when I was younger, but I get it now that all three of us have different fathers. We all had different last names. We all looked different. So nobody was really aware that we were siblings compared to like other kids in the daycare. Like you knew by their last names that, these two are siblings, those two, or those three or whatever. But no one knew about us. And she had a bad day in preschool, I guess. And she was screaming and hollering when I came through the door, screaming and hollering that she wanted her sister. And they were like, well, who's her sister? And they're like trying to look through the books, trying to figure out who is her sister. There's nobody else but her last name. And I came through the door because I was an older kid. We took the bus or walked to the school around the corner from the daycare. And so I came through with other kids my age that walked to the school. And she runs and screams and jumps into my arms. And I'm like 6 years older than her. And it was just such a sweet moment because I didn't have a good day that day either. So it was just so nice to experience that, nice to experience being wanted, because the rest of my life was the opposite of that. it was like a ray of sunshine in a sense. My other sister is never, even though we're closer in age, we weren't never like that. Also, she used to just like get in my bed and just kind of like sleep on top of my back. Like she just always was close to me, always hanging around me, always hanging around me. And as we went on about this conversation, she asked about a second time, and I told her um, the second time that I really appreciated her as my sister was my mom. I was 13. Yeah, I was 13. And my mom had taken to like arguing with me no matter what I did. And I remember at this point in time, my grandma was like, whatever she says, just yes, ma'am, her. Don't say anything back. Just don't say anything. And if it's a yes or no question, yes, ma'am, her, and don't say anything back. And so I was taking my grandmother's advice and I wasn't saying anything. She was yelling at me about something in the car, and I was in the front seat with her, and my two sisters were in the back seat. And she was going on and on and on and on. I didn't say a word, not nothing. And she's like, "Oh, so you want to be smart? You can't answer me." And I was like, "Yes, ma'am," just like my grandmom said. And she got so mad, she pulled the car over and was like, "Get the fuck out. You can walk home for all I care. Get out of my car." And I just, it's weird because all I could think about in my mind, we were in the middle of nowhere in like redneck country. And all I could think about was that movie with Samuel Jackson, A Time to Kill. And, when the little girl, when her mom sent her to the store, and she ends up getting picked up by them rednecks and raped and beaten and all that stuff. That's all I could think about was where I was at, where she was when she was kicking me out. That's all I could think about. Like, why did this woman just feed me to the wolves? And I said a prayer. She pulled off. And I remember praying and saying, like, God, please protect me. Don't let nothing happen to me. And I just started walking. And maybe like 10, 15 minutes later, she pulls back around and she's like, get the fuck in the car. And my sister's entire face was covered in snot. And she was just like, I wasn't going to let her leave you. And she's like, you better be glad that she was crying for you, because I wouldn't have turned around if nobody else was. She was like, I wouldn't have turned around at all because I don't give a fuck about you and all that kind of stuff. And she just, went back on her ranting and raving. But I'll never forget, like, the look in her eyes, that she was terrified that something was going to happen to me. And she would not let up. And my other sister never would say anything. Like, my youngest one was always interceding. And it's interesting enough, she said, maybe my purpose wasn't what I thought it was. Maybe I came here to protect you so that you can move forward. And I'm sorry. Shit almost wiped my contact out. I'm sorry, I didn't expect to cry, but she said maybe I just came here to protect you and I got hurt in in the process of it. And she's like, you're meant to do something and you're not stepping up to do it because you don't believe in yourself. And she's like, but I always believed in you. And I did my best to protect you so that you can do what you're meant to do. And I don't know. I just felt like I needed to share that for those of us, especially in these times that we're living in, where just everything seems so uncertain and just so unreal. Don't forget about what you came here for. It's funny, she said maybe, sometimes angels, we think of them as being extraterrestrial beings, as being something outside of ourselves, and sometimes our angels are right in our lives. They're our siblings, sometimes they're our parents, sometimes they're our cousins, sometimes they're our neighbors or our best friends, and we don't even recognize them for what they are when they're with us. I just want to give thanks for her, because there's a lot of times as a child that I would have just given up. But I always felt like I can't disappoint her. Not just on some big sister shit, but because I have another younger sister, but it was never, she never opened her mouth. She never said nothing. She never interceded or anything like that. It wasn't like she had any kind of big emotions for me. If I was there, I mean, I went just as hard for her, but it just, was never reciprocated. That I'm grateful for the angels that were sent around to protect me. And it's time for me to honor that. The honor that I had to be protected in order to be brought into this time. And I don't know why the hell I'm struggling so hard with my purpose, with stepping out. But I'm being transparent about it because, I don't know, I feel like I take a step forward and I take 3 steps back, and I get on my own nerves, and then I hype myself up, and then I backtrack again. Pray for me. I'm getting there. Pray for me. Pray for me. Let me get back to work because that's too long of a break. Thanks for watching if you watched this far.